Thank you very much, and as a non-researcher, it's been a pleasure to spend time at this conference to see how many dedicated people there are addressing this very important issue on a global basis. And there's a lot of consistency among what's going on around the world, so I think that it's great to have this body of knowledge and practitioners supporting this initiative. I'm going to talk today about a specific example of global private and public partnership in STEM education. And I hope it will resonate with you and perhaps even encourage you to participate in what we're doing. It is really clear that collaboration between academia, government, NGOs, and business is important to have the collective impact that we need to make change. But before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about my personal experiences. And having talked to many of you, I know it mirrors some of your experiences because we are all personally involved in this crusade. But I'm going to talk about my experiences coming of age as a computer scientist in Silicon Valley and how this experience has really impassioned me to do the work that I'm doing now. This picture is from a conference called the Lean Out Conference that occurred in February of this year in Silicon Valley. And at the conference, there were 5,000 women professionals, mostly in the technology industry, who were there to talk about how they can personally be more effective in a very difficult gender environment in Silicon Valley. And I was speaking to Londa a few minutes ago, and we were lamenting the fact that we have not made the progress we need to make even in Silicon Valley. And my colleagues up here from China and Japan said, well, you really don't have problems in the US. Well, I beg to differ on that, and so I think that perhaps this discussion will make you understand that we all have these common problems. At this conference, when it was happening, at the same time, all over the front page of the newspaper, there was an article about a lawsuit that was happening against the premier venture capital firm, Kleiner Perkins, in Silicon Valley in gender discrimination. And even though the woman who brought it lost the case, it really brought to fore the extent of the gender discrimination occurring across all of Silicon Valley and in many of the tech areas around the United States. The top conference sponsor was Intel, who had just committed $300 million to improve the workforce diversity because it was really not where it needed to be, even in comparison to other companies in the industry. So the sad reality is that we have not made a lot of progress over the last 40 years. And in fact, in some ways, we've actually gone backwards. When I graduated from Stanford with a math sciences degree in 1976, there were more women graduating in math and computer science than there are today. Interestingly, the arrival of the personal computer into the home in the early 80s, where it was put in the boys' bedroom and became a platform for doing aggressive gaming, changed the whole cultural view of computing. I, however, was lucky to have come of age before that. I originally went to school in upstate New York thinking I would major in sociology, having been influenced by the social changes in the 1960s, despite my math aptitude. However, I was lucky that my college calculus professor took an interest in me and saw my aptitude, and he encouraged me to learn about computers. Since there were no computer science courses at this liberal arts college in upstate New York, I did an independent study. And I wrote my first program via a teletype terminal. How many of you remember teletype terminals? That went 10 characters per second to the Rome Air Force Base 30 miles away. But I still fell in love with computers. I ended up transferring to Stanford, and it changed my life forever. I went on to have a 25-year career in Silicon Valley, first as a programmer, then in sales and marketing, and last as an entrepreneur. But I always feel grateful for my freshman calculus teacher, who believed in me and gave me the confidence to believe in myself. Like many of you here, throughout my career, I've made it a priority to support women in the workplace. As the chairman of Watermark, was the organization who put on that Lean Out conference, or on the advisory board of the Clayman Institute for Gender Research at Stanford at the time when Lonzo was running the institute, or when I supported Hillary Clinton for her run for president and then went to work for her at the State Department, I've supported women. We did the Women in the Economy Summit in San Francisco for APEC, where we launched the San Francisco Doctrine, and I supported entrepreneurship programs all over the world for women. What I have learned on this journey, I am putting to practice at the New York Academy of Sciences. I learned from my college professor the importance of mentorship, and from Hillary Clinton, another mentor of sorts, I learned that talent is universal, but opportunity is not. So it takes a village to raise a child, and especially for a girl to have a successful career in STEM. So now I would like to discuss how the New York Academy of Sciences is helping enable not only women, but many underserved populations around the world to reach their full potential in STEM careers. The New York Academy of Sciences mission is to drive innovative solutions to society's challenges by advancing scientific research, education, and policy. The Academy is one of the oldest scientific institutions in the United States. It has 20,000 members in 100 countries around the world and 27 Nobel laureates among its members. For over 200 years, the Academy has brought together key influences from academia, government, business, and NGOs to drive progress in meeting the world's challenges, frequently hampered by silos and the lack of cross-cultural cooperation. The Academy pursues programming and publications focused on topics that influence the global community, from nutrition to Alzheimer's disease and to life sciences conferences. And we have an educational program that spans the STEM pipeline from cradle to career to create opportunities for both emerging and current innovators. Our programs have been launched in New York and then proliferated around the world, including places like Malaysia and Barcelona. And today I would like to talk about our current major initiative called the Global STEM Alliance, which is a global initiative in the STEM arena. I'd like to turn the video on.
The STEM crisis is urgent.
The crisis is in the access to education.
The crisis that we are facing is that not enough people are going into STEM careers.
We are in danger to miss a massive opportunity.
It was just about a year ago we had a dream that was really to create the first ever opportunity for gifted children to be mentored by the greatest network of gifted young scientists ever assembled. The launch of the Global STEM Alliance at the United Nations began to bring that dream into fruition.
Tackling the challenge is going to require a concerted effort by governments, companies, universities, and professional organizations. And that's why I'm so excited to be here today at the launch of the Global STEM Alliance, because that's exactly what this alliance is going to do.
We believe that STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics are at the heart of modern life and the foundation for economic prosperity, but the very survival of planet Earth depends on STEM education.
When the world's population goes from 7.5 billion to 9 billion, We're going to have to figure out how to feed them and how to provide them with clean, safe water. That's where we need our STEM. In our industry, it's critical to support this planet's population.
You realize that the world comes together during UN Week to make policy and really to improve the world. There we are, the New York Academy of Sciences, convening hundreds of corporations and agencies, universities, and individuals committed to solving the global STEM crisis, and then announcing an activity, an action, a moment when the New York Academy of Sciences could really contribute to the solution of the STEM crisis was an overwhelming personal experience for me.
The launch of the Global STEM Alliance marks a milestone of sorts, an opportunity to build within our academy a collaborative network of the world's most brilliant minds. This is our opportunity in our third century to create the greatest alliance of gifted people ever on the planet.
I am the future.
I am the future.
So in preparation for that launch, we commissioned a white paper that we've termed the Global STEM Paradox. What has become apparent that there are more and more students graduating in STEM fields. However, there's still a big lack of people to go into the workforce. And we identified 4 areas that cause this. And clearly, there's a tremendous need. 75% of future careers are going to require mid to high-level STEM expertise. The first issue is that we are not teaching our kids some of the 21st century skills like creativity, collaboration, and communication that employers are looking for in the people that they hire. The second is that there's often a mismatch between the vocational skills that are needed compared to what we're really training students for. The third is that there's often a brain drain, especially in developing countries, that they don't actually have the workers that they need to meet the challenges of their country. And the last is what we've been talking about through the conference, which is there's untapped talent, particularly for women, as well as underserved ethnicities, that we need to solve if we're going to meet the challenges of the 21st century. So it is critical that we come together in public-private partnerships so we have the cross-sector collaboration between industry, academia, government, and nonprofits that will allow us to really address these problems and provide the economic growth that we need for the future. The Global STEM Alliance, as you saw in the video, aims to reach 1 million students in 100 countries by 2020. We've implemented a virtual platform that allows us to scale programs that we have in New York around the world and also incorporate the best programs of our partners in countries around the world. We provide hands-on research projects using expert mentors that give kids the opportunity to do real-world challenges that excite them. We are going to be launching 2 programs this fall. One is the Junior Academy for Gifted Students, and the second is the 1,000 Girls, 1,000 Futures program for high school girls. And that program was based on a program that was launched at the State Department 4 years ago called the Next Scholars Program, which brought college women from 17 Muslim communities around the world who were going to women's colleges in the United States and mentored them for 4 years. And based on that, we now have our 1,000 Girls, 1,000 Futures program, which was launched last year, announced by the Clinton Global Initiative last year, which mentors high school girls. And we have our first cohort that's going to be on the virtual platform that will be include participants from China, India, the US, UK, Mexico, UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, and supported by companies like ARM, Motorola, AOL, Infosys, Oracle, and Google. So I just want to also say, as I've said throughout this, is that it really takes a village, that the partnership that we bring together through this initiative on a global basis is key for success. So we are just at the beginning of this initiative. We are setting chapters up around the world. We encourage you to become involved, and I'm happy to talk with any of you about this later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all 6 speakers. So now time is 10:56. So according to the schedule, we are supposed to end at 11 for you to have a coffee break for 15 minutes. If you're willing to sacrifice 5 minutes from your coffee break, then we can have up to 10 minutes for Q&A. So it depends on how many questions you ask. So let me propose that and open the floor for Q&A. And I'd like to encourage you to raise your hand and ask questions, please. Yes, please. Is there any microphone for questioning?
Yes, thank you. I have a question for Professor Rice. I'm a chemistry professor from Taiwan. I heard from your talk, you mentioned one of your strategies is to set a special fund, if I am right. I'm not so sure whether I missed your point. A special fund to hire exclusively for women professors in university. If that is true, I'd like to know what's the situation or outcome, because people always think in this situation, maybe those professors, female professors hired, they have lower standard, and they may have problem for future promotion, and their colleagues may see them differently. What about the situation in Norway? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. The specific program I was mentioning in that section of my talk is actually not a program from Norway, but it's a program at a university in the Netherlands called Delft Technical University. And after my talk, I tweeted a link to a piece that I wrote about that project. There's very important research that's been done, that's been published in renowned journals such as Science, about the effects of quotas and how that affects the quality of the applicant pool. So affirmative action measures of many types, including quotas, draw more highly qualified women to actually apply for positions. In the absence of such measures, conversely, leads highly qualified women to sometimes think that they're better off just staying on their own or staying away. If you look at the particular women who have been hired into these positions at Delft University, they are superstars. They are major international scientists who found an opportunity in that program to continue their research. They're not only leading the university, they're leading their fields. But you are absolutely correct that the typical reaction to the proposal about quotas is that it necessarily leads to the hiring of someone who otherwise would not have received the position. And the stereotype is that the reason for that is because they're of a lower quality. Now, it may be true that they otherwise would not have gotten the position, but there's no reason from the research that's been done to think that that's because they're performing at a lower quality. It's for entirely independent reasons that have nothing to do with quality whatsoever.
Thank you. Is there other question, please? Yes.
Hi, this is Grace Kim from UCLA. Okay, so I learned actually a lot for Gender Summit that we have different backgrounds or different issues. And I was wondering that can we kind of have work balance index from Gender Summit? Because from UCLA, we have evaluated by 3 criteria: number of publication, number of the grants or money, dollar, and the community service. And those criteria is the index. But if we create the work balance index, would be some way to evaluate, because women have different life as men, I guess I should say the sex is different, but age and the environments are different, and how are we gonna carry over and go up? I think we need to have some policy or some index to provide. I know we have some comment from the KISS. They mentioned some about some index, right? I forgot the name of index. I remember Dr. Lee mentioned it. And those things, I think it's important to have some worldwide index across regions and culture.
Thank you. Maybe Professor Lee, would you be able to answer the question?
Actually, at the same job, the evaluation indicators should be fairly applied to male and female. But there are quite a few jobs that is quite that has quite high demand of female workforce. In that case, we add some develop some educate indices for to give favor to female applications. But actually, by the law, our government is matching achieving the balance between male and female. That law actually was made to protect female, but now environment has been changed in many areas. For example, in the Seoul National University, when we hire new employment, past years, we made some rule. At least, for example, 30 or 40% we hire from women. But now, that law goes the other direction. I mean, last year, if we put some the restrictions that we hire only at least 30% should be male employment. Otherwise, almost 9 or over percent could be a female. Yeah.
Thank you. So we only have a couple of minutes as a closing remark. I'd like to end this session with gratitude to all speakers and all the attendees of the session. But to add to your comments, I read, I think yesterday, an article that Facebook founder, Zuckerberg, he wanted to take a maternity leave because his wife was pregnant. He thought he should take some leave from his job to take care of the family matters. In terms of also hiring female faculty members, more than 20 years ago at UC Berkeley, they kept on failing hiring good female faculty candidates. So the dean made a decision to add another criteria, that was leadership. And in 1 year, they were able to hire 6 female faculty members who turned out to be superstars. So I think there are many ways to think innovatively. And in this session, it has been emphasized over and over again, the global alliance is important. It's not just a problem in Asia or Korea, but even in the United States, we have similar issues. So I do appreciate the global alliance working jointly together to address very, very important matters to better our world tomorrow. So I'd like to thank you. Thank you very much.